Welcome to Evening Review with Ashwyn Mberi. Today we are talking to a special gentleman who has embarked on a very important journey. His name is Martin Nankela, and he is the founder of the Business Summit Namibia. Martin, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Ashwyn.
All right. So, Martin, before we get into the summit itself, let's talk a bit about you. How did you get interested in business? What field of work are you in?
Yeah, so I mean, business has always been centered to who I have been. Growing up, I've always wanted to do business. We started off long time, 10, 15 years ago, doing business, selling T-shirts and doing all kinds of stuff, branding your own stuff.
Yeah.
And we went into corporate branding and stuff like that. But I think during COVID, we realized that, look, there's a need for people to actually get some financial information, some business information. You know, where can people get this information? If I want to start my own business, who is there to hold my hand and help me? And I think that's just where we started with this whole thing. Yeah. So yeah.
I mean, you seem like a very enterprising gentleman, which means you had to take a lot of risks and learn a lot of things the hard way. Was that part of why you ended up coming with the Business Summit, where you were like, listen, I had to jump over all these hurdles? I would rather that the ordinary Namibian business person doesn't have to.
Yeah, so obviously there was nothing to build on. There was no blueprint. There was nothing that you could work from. So we just started with whatever we had. There was no big idea. It's just there's this idea. What can we do? Let's start with what we have. And I think, like, as you mentioned, it's risky because there's also always some sort of investment. You don't know if the market will respond. You don't know if there's a need for it. So we just started, man, and I think the platform has been growing over the years.
Yeah, no, it's important that you said we just started. I don't know if you listen to the hip hop artist Nasir Jones, also known as Nas. He once said, "He who has begun is half done," which is just really about getting yourself, in the room and getting yourself going. So, how long has the Business Summit been in existence, or when was it founded essentially?
So we founded in 2021. So this will be the 5th edition. We've been doing it annually ever since. And 5 years ago, it was COVID, like I've mentioned. It was difficult to bring people into the room. But we made do with what we had, and we've grown the platform over the years, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot to be said about the resilience of anyone who started or continued a business during COVID-19. It was very difficult for people to gather. We were losing a lot of people.
100%.
And of course, naturally, markets stalled. The economy was in a bit of a limbo. But you powered through. Has producing this event gotten easier from 2021?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it was good to start in 2021 during the COVID times. And I think one of the reasons why we also founded it in that year specifically, or why we accelerated the founding thereof, is because during COVID, people were losing their livelihoods. And we said, look, what can people resort to away from, looking for a job? And we said, but maybe business can be the catalyst that we can use to tackle this unemployment thing. So it was a good conversation at the time. And then I think from there, we just kept on building. So obviously it's become easier to get people into the room now, because we've been growing the name of the brand and trying to make it work. And 5 years later, we've got big corporates coming on board, and now everybody wants to be part of the conversation, because it is a common evil, unemployment, that is, and I think everybody should be part of that conversation. The corporates, the government guys, entrepreneurs, everyone. So it's really starting to catch fire, and we are happy with the growth that we've made over the 5 years.
I think that's admirable, Martin, because when a lot of people get into business, they're mostly concerned with being extractors. They're just focused on how they can increase their profit margin. But you're here trying to improve the ecosystem itself from the ground up. You say the sponsors have come on board, the corporate world. What was their general response between 2021 and now? Obviously now it's very positive from what we can tell. But did it take some time, some convincing? Were there some roadblocks?
What I've learned is that people don't sponsor or fund ideas. They fund track records. People want to see, what have you done? What is,
Martin, this is why you have to be at the Business Summit Namibia 5 July. People do not fund ideas, they fund track records. Please continue.
Yeah, so obviously, if you just come to me with a proposal and say, no, this is what I want to do, no one is just going to believe you, because everybody wants to do something. But when you say, this is what I've done, but when you come on board, we can do more.
Yes.
The conversation becomes easier, because then somebody can say, you've put your money where your mouth is, you've done it on your own, and you've grown to a certain extent. Obviously, surely we can come on board and amplify it even further. That's what I've learned, honestly. When 2021, when we were knocking on doors, it was difficult to get anybody to believe in the vision, in the idea. But now it's quite easy, because people can see what we've been doing over the last 4 years and now the 5th year. So it becomes easier with time. So again, comes back to just starting and, working on your craft and, just making it perfect as you go. And eventually, I think the right partners will come on board and help you amplify the vision.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the right partners and the vision, because usually when people pour money into something, they start, diluting the vision and trying to pull the vision towards themselves. Is that something that you've found yourself having to deal with now, like, okay, now I have to safeguard what I have created in spite of, having this conglomerate of supporters?
100%. I think we had to be very... we had to keep reminding ourselves of why we started. Why did we start this thing? We don't want to dilute. We don't want to push away from where we started. People can come in with ideas, but we want to know, what was the blueprint in the beginning? What did we want to see? And if that agreement doesn't, amplify or add value to that vision, then we don't do it. So yes, we've come. A lot of people have tried to come on board and try to help us do this thing, but it was always to a different direction, and that's where we said, no, but this is not why we're doing what we're doing. We're focusing here, and this is where we want to focus, and eventually the right partners start to come on board.
All right. And you keep saying we. I imagine you've got a very solid team behind you. Tell me a bit about your team.
100%. I think we started together with my partner, Mr. Alphonse, just him and I, and over time we realized this thing is growing too big. We need a team, and now we have about 7 to 10 additional people that we brought on board. Not even professionals or people that have been doing it. It's people that we just saw potential in, and we said that we see something and we want them on board. And today they are really running this whole thing. And obviously, I'm the face. People see me when they have the summit, but to be honest, I do 5% of the work. They do all of the work. So the team has been doing a great job in pushing this thing and taking it to the next level.
Yes, and naturally that means they adopted the vision. The moment that you guys spoke to them about. And that's an intangible quality. When you're working with people, it's not just about people who are willing to do the job, it's also about people who are excited
100%.
to take on this journey with you. Have there been any personal, just tough battles when it comes to this? Because I know the life of an entrepreneur, man. It's sleepless nights, it's relationships pulling you this way and that way. How have you managed to stay on the course?
Yeah, obviously. So this thing, just the event itself takes about 6 months to prepare. That's half of my year.
Half of the year.
And that's not just the only thing we do. There's obviously other stuff that you're also managing and stuff. So it's finding that balance is very difficult. It's one of the issues that I really, staying up late. I was just telling you earlier about how tired we are right now. It's we're working hard and finding that balance to make sure everything is moving well. Everything is always the challenge. But that's what entrepreneurs are, man. I think we want to see change. We want to be aggressive with the change. We can't be mediocre. We have to do whatever people are not willing to do.
And constantly add value.
100%.
I appreciate that. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, Martin and I are now going to be zoning in on the Business Summit itself, some of the people you can expect, some of the sponsors who will be there, and of course the knowledge that will be shared. I'm with Martin Nankela, the founder of Business Summit Namibia, which will be happening on the 5th of July. What's the venue, Martin?
Yeah, it's going to be happening at Hilton Garden Inn Hotel. That's in Windhoek. So that's in the CBD.
Why did you choose that venue?
Yeah, I think we wanted to be an exclusive place, but also we wanted it to be very accessible. Central, yes. So we didn't want it to be too far. We didn't want it to be too close. So we wanted to be central to everybody, easily accessible to everybody. Also, it's a very beautiful venue. It's recently opened.
Yes.
So it's the new Hilton, just next to the old Hilton.
Right.
But it's a very beautiful venue.
Yes.
And it can take up the capacity that we want for this event. So that's some of the considerables that we're looking at for for the venue.
All right, and who are the major sponsors of the Business Summit?
So yeah, the major sponsors are F&B and City of Windhoek.
All right,
yeah,
wonderful.
so F&B, City of Windhoek, they've come in and they've helped us elevate and amplify this thing to the next level.
Yeah.
Obviously, F&B's mandate is they are a commercial bank. They are supporting SMEs and commercial banks, commercial businesses in that with funding and so on and so forth. So they also feel they can add value to our SME space and to our entrepreneurs in the country. So that's why they want to be part of it. They want to be positioned as the premier bank for SMEs and stuff like that. City of Windhoek, obviously, we know they have a mandate also to push community development, social development, and it's starting with businesses, the informal sector, the SMEs, the different marketplaces. So that's why they've come on board to really also just come and be part of the conversation and add value to tackle again unemployment, to tackle to increase our purchasing power for each household, stuff like that. So yeah, it's going to be an exciting event.
I have to give you and your team credit, Martin, because it's very difficult to get both the private and the public sector to just come together under one vision.
That's true.
Of course, for City of Windhoek, they're close enough to Hilton to walk across it and check what's going on. But that's very admirable because you're bringing together two worlds which are always supposed to be working together. Are there any special individuals and figures that we can expect to see at the Business Summit?
Yeah, so from a out of the borders perspective, we're bringing in Connie Ferguson.
Connie Ferguson.
Like
Generations, Connie Ferguson.
Karabo.
We all grew up watching Generations.
100%.
Karabo, yes, of course. I mean, she's not just a businesswoman. She's a highly successful actress whose work spans across Africa and naturally recognizable to all Africans and truly in and of herself a huge brand.
True.
What made you want to get Connie, aside from the reasons I just stated?
I think one thing that has really been key for me, but personally, is the State of Nation address that the president spoke about earlier 2-3 months ago. Really directed towards reviving the creative industry. I think she's very passionate about trying to revive the industry, and I think Connie is mirrors what we're trying to do in Namibia when it comes from the creative world. So I think that's something, that conversation we want to really amplify at this event, and I think Connie can help us, navigate to positioning Namibia to become a better creative player, basically. So that's one of the reasons really is we want to revive the creative industry. We want the creative industry not to be seen as just another something there, but something where people can actually earn real money from. Filmmaking and influencers and things like that are things that we want to start reviving, and that's one of the reasons why. But also I think the market that Connie brings, you mentioned it, she's a big brand. She can add value to her market and where she plays in. And I think there's a lot to learn from her. There's a lot that we can leverage from what she's done over the years.
Definitely. And of course, there's the intangible aspect of just pure inspiration.
100%.
Just that idea that there's, little boys and girls. I mean, we were little boys when Connie and sadly, I'm old enough now to find people who are in the workforce who tell me they used to see me, an opportunity knocks and whatnot. They were younger. Exactly. But, coming into touch with that, you start realizing how important inspiration is, especially from people that you admire
100%.
And people who have successfully, built brands. We've heard of a lot of South African actors and actresses who have not been able to necessarily monetize their craft and become economically viable in the manner which Connie has. And, Connie is familiar to Namibia. So I really think it's, and of course, she's a woman, which is a fantastic part as well, because we are still trying to, to grow the economy in a way that is inclusive of women and empowering of Namibian women. So I think that's really fantastic. Who are some of the locals that we can expect there?
So locally, this is something we always ask. Why are we bringing in other guys? Where are our guys?
Where are our guys?
So 90% of our speakers, 95% of our speakers are local, always.
I believe your MC as well. Your MC as well is also local.
Do you want us to talk about
Let's
the MC?
Talk about the MC. I'm going to be MCing the Business Summit on the 5th of July, and I'm excited to see you there. But yes, the 90% of the people are local. Zulu Boy.
I
mean, let's talk about him for a second. I mean, the first time he got on a lot of people's radars was with the Gweri vintage socks. You know what I mean? Now it's gone bigger.
Exactly.
Now it's a studio. Now it's Coca-Cola. These are journeys that Namibians have been in touch with and intimate with, and we've been watching these people
100%.
progress. I think it's just so so invaluable to have him there. Who else do you have?
And something like socks, how something like that is has made somebody a big brand. And that's what we're trying to say. And again, to the creative stuff, the creative stuff that he's doing with the big brands now is very admirable, and that's what we want to see reviving. But we also have the Twinfluencers, for example. The Twinfluencers. They are I think one of Namibia's biggest influencers.
Definitely.
They work with big brands in the country, stuff like that. But they're also property practitioners. And then they do a lot of other stuff that they do as well, that we can also learn from and hear from them themselves.
And that's a sector that people have been a little hesitant to acknowledge that it is formal, it is here. Influencers 100%. Are a real thing. These are people who grow brands. And of course, they've got property experience. Isn't that interesting when you look at a lot of these Namibians? Because you start seeing how multifaceted Namibian people are. When people think of the Twinfluencers, they wouldn't think of their property expertise. When you think of Zulu Boy, a lot of people don't know this. He's an excellent painter, an excellent craftsman. You know what I mean? So some people will just think about the socks, but these are folks who are multifaceted, and thus your audience will be able to benefit 100%. From them in several ways.
And I think social media is the next big thing, and I think we can. Everyone wants to market on social media. Everybody wants to use social media to get the stuff out there. For example, the Business Summit, we've done a lot of marketing just on social media, and we are at 98% sold out already, just on social media marketing. So social media is big, and we need to bring in the guys that are helping drive the social media conversation into the entrepreneurship space. But apart from the two mentioned, we have got Nupresh Soni.
All right.
He's big in the digital space, in the AI space, cybersecurity. That's also a conversation that I think we need to have at the summit. And then we also have Zodidi Gasep.
Oh, wonderful.
She's doing African Naturals, producing her own hair products, from raw materials. These are stuff we want to see, and these are the entrepreneurs we want to hear from. But apart from that, we also have the corporates. As I've mentioned, F&B will be speaking from a funding perspective. What are the funding opportunities that are available for SMEs and entrepreneurs?
I believe the mayor is also
attending. The mayor of the city of Windhoek is going to be there. The CEO of the city of Windhoek is going to be there. So it's going to be quite a very mouthful that we're going to get from there, but it's going to be very insightful.
All right, let's get into the event itself on a technical aspect. Of course, this is a formal event. You have panel discussions. Tell us a bit about those.
So I think it's something that we've added now to the summit is the panel discussions. I think we want to have different industry stakeholders in one conversation, and then we would have our moderator, Mr. Ashwyn Mberi himself, moderating that conversation to just really get asking the questions that people would want to ask, a NAMRA, a BIPA, social security, and so on and so forth, and really get some of those prominently asked questions from there. But also ask the questions because it's about 300-400 people in the room. Not everybody will be able to ask these people these questions. So the panel does that. It allows for those questions to be asked there, and then a conversation can be had where we can really receive the value that we want from some of these organizations.
I was thinking to myself how African the concept of a panel discussion is. I'm sure people have had their own interpretations of it, but immediately I think of Olupale. I think of this idea of gathering and talking and figuring out what's good for the community, and I really feel like this is going to be one of those opportunities to do that. I understand there's also going to be breakaway sessions. So again, we have about a big attendees that are coming through. So it's about 400 people, give or take. So not everybody will be able to ask their question to who they want to ask their question. So what we've done is we're going to now have breakaway sessions after the main event is done, where people can actually go to someone specific and say, no, you mentioned this. Can you just tell me about this? Or no, I always wanted to ask about F&Bs. Tell me about this. So there will be those breakaway sessions where people can break away into smaller groups and ask the questions to wherever they want to ask their questions to. So we'll be availing that platform as well. And naturally, it becomes a platform for networking.
100%. That's what we built on as networking. We want people to network, to come together, collaborate. We want people to start businesses from that networking session. People who didn't know how to do things, learn from others. How did you do it? How did you navigate through this? I'm also in the same business. How can I also, those are the type of conversations that we really want to amplify at those breakaway sessions.
So you're saying, what's the percentage right now of people who've have signed up already?
Yeah, so we've VIP sold out, corporate tables sold out. We had a few general tickets left.
Yes.
I think by today or tomorrow.
Yeah, it's gonna be what it is. What it is.
Yeah, it's gonna be done. So plus 90% we sold out.
All right, all right. And how does it feel to get that acknowledgement that you do have the support of Namibia?
No, I think it's beautiful, man. It's really it's nice to know that people want these platforms. It's nice to know that people want to, and it also, I think, just speaks to the fact that there is a need for information sharing. It speaks to the fact that there is a need for networking.
Yes.
There's no event in the country where business people can come together and have conversations, and even if there are events, it's for the
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I do think, however, it was very apt that essentially, of course, you're going to be in July, but just now, for the first time ever, the Commonwealth Business Summit happened in Windhoek, Namibia, for the first time outside of the UK, running concurrently with the Commonwealth Trade Ministers meeting.
Yes.
And because the information on your business summit was already floating around, I personally spoke to some delegates who asked me about your business summit. And I think that's why it's so essential, because I can imagine if those guys didn't have the kind of schedules they had, they naturally would have been like, why don't we stick around for this one as well? So how does it feel to be holding that space for entrepreneurs? Because, Martin, now it's a responsibility.
Yeah, no, 100%. We're proud, but also afraid, scared, because it's a big responsibility. It's a big responsibility that we need to protect as well, that we need to own and I think to be accountable for. But we want to make use of it. We want to make full use of it and make sure that we are able to add value.
Which leads me into my last question. Where do you see the Business Summit going? Is it always going to remain in Windhoek? Will we decentralize it? We understand Windhoek is the economic capital of the country. Now, we're not necessarily talking about input and output, because I think Erongo region might have some questions for us with regards to that. But where do you see the Business Summit going in the future?
Yeah, I think we want to move away from the annual thing and then make it more ad hoc and have it more frequently. But also, to your point, we want to move away from Windhoek as well. We want to go into the smaller towns. We want to go into the townships and other towns as well. So have this conversation there. But we also want to start, maybe start streaming it for people who can't make it to the main event. Stream it so that they can have access to this information. But we also, the exhibition space that we are also having at the summit is something that I think is also lucrative. And we want to create more platforms for people to exhibit. We want to create more platforms away from the business summit where people can come together, network, and share their products. So a lot more is coming, and we're going to be more eventful than just having the one Business Summit annual event.
All right, and I imagine you're still going to be, bringing in folks from the region. I mean, we're African long enough to understand that the borders have nothing to do with us.
100%.
And of course, business communities, they work across like such a way. And of course, it's good that you have. It's good that you also have, Connie Ferguson, who's big in South Africa and naturally also big over here. Not to put a spanner in the works, my brother. Any negatives?
Any negatives from
this process?
I mean, I think there's always going to be that. I think from a public side is a lot of pushback. But we take that. It is what it is. But I think maybe the others would also be ticket prices are expensive. Why are you not catering for the low end? But these events are expensive to run and to host. So to really drill down and make it cheap or make it free is not viable for the sustainable future. But those are just some of the things that we try to jump over. I still think we are still the cheapest conference or summit in the country when it comes to considering the value that we are bringing and the value that we are giving. But that is what we try to do.
And I mean, there's nothing that stops you, in future summits to, have a corporate and say, are you guys willing to buy, 100 tickets for, these folks who necessarily can't, can't make it there because of money issues. But really, I think you're in a good position to be growing an ecosystem that is ripe for the growing. I think just last week, the richest man in Africa, Aliko Dangote, was in Namibia. I wish he was here on the 5th of July, so I would have tried to do something, maybe at the airport or something. But it's such a good sign. Recently, our president, Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, was in Angola for the US Africa Summit, where she was very poignant, also in in her words, in a choice of words. And I think we've come to a place where we know that Africa needs no saviors. We need to do a lot by ourselves. You're a business guy, so you've paid attention to how inconsistent things have become globally. We won't mention any names, Donald Trump. But I think creating such a platform and making sure that it lasts, which we don't have to worry about because we started at COVID. I doubt things will get any tougher than that at that point. Knock on wood. But creating such a platform is a responsibility. And we certainly wish you the best, Martin.
Thank you.
Any final words for your audience, for the people who are coming to the Business Summit?
Yeah, no, hope to see you there, obviously. But let's keep building. Let's keep working together. I think this is not a one-man show. It's our thing. Unemployment is the common evil. You know, poverty is the common evil. Let's fight it together. Let's create platforms. Let's bring people together. Let's network, collaborate, and let's build, man. You know, Africa is our home. Namibia is our home. We need to drive her growth
sustainably and inclusively. Thank you very much. I've been talking to the one and only Martin Nankela, who is the founder of the Business Summit Namibia, taking place on the 5th of July at the Hilton Garden Inn. Certainly a must attend, and we understand that it's almost packed to the rafters. So do pay attention to the news with regards to that. But for now, from me, Ashwyn Mberi, thank you for joining us on Evening Review.